I have so many windows open. I hope I shared them all. Let's do a very late Sunday night to let's call it Boxing Day, Monday Sports Algorithm podcast. I believe Monday the 26th is Boxing Day. Lot to discuss here. I kind of want to prepare Monday because I'm in the middle of I'm in the middle of what you see on the screen and also what you see on the screen here, which is the Microsoft Excel version of Payroll in Excel 2023, which I am working on. I wasn't kidding when I said that I'm spending the day doing this. But one of the things that I had to do before I get it all into Excel is test it all in Google Sheets. And so I'm going to be talking a lot about sports after I talk about this payroll part here, but I want to speak to everybody who's who's waiting for a payroll file for me to run your business. I understand that I'm testing everything out. Even though we have a nice finely tuned product, I'd like to actually have people kind of test it out before we implement it all. If you can think about it that way. And the reason why it's a little bit complicated right now is we're so fast. We're so like updated based on what the government, the IRS has issued for guidance about withholding, that even though some places are starting to list some rates themselves, we don't have a good place to test everything up against yet because it's not 2023 yet. So if I accidentally type something in wrong or something, it's only going to be found out if we find out as we test it. So that's another reason why I haven't completely finished everything and sent it out everyone. One is because we do still have a few more days before the start of the year. So nobody actually totally needs it yet, even though I know we'd like to prepare it. But we need to really at least check this over with some independent source like Paycheck City or Suburban Computer or something. We really need to be matching on some level before I can finally certify this and say it's going to be done. But let me tell you what else I worked on today, and then we'll get to sports stuff. So I went through states, and some states did get their act together, and they got their publications up. And I'll talk about those states in a minute because I was going to do a video for each individual state, like North Dakota, like Maryland. But it's really a lot of the same of last year with some cost of living adjustments and nothing all that complicated. And so I kind of wanted to combine it all into one and discuss what I got done. So I'm still waiting for Ohio. Like when you click this link and go to the Ohio link, it says, guess what? Our booklet for 2023 is coming soon, but here's our local rates. And I did do their local rates. So I have all the Ohio local rates in it. A humongous list. There's tons of them. These are all Ohio rates here that we're looking at. I mean, wow. It's some of them have codes, some of them have confusing codes, and this is, I mean, there's just so many that I feel like you have to deal with this on an individual basis. And how is this really tracked? Because this is so many. I mean, is it just people that are living in the town? Or is it the business operating in the town that has to pull this out? Like seems like a really cumbersome process. And I have sold some files to people in Ohio before, and I haven't heard complaints about them, but I do think they're aware of their city taxes and they just have to build it in. So, it does show up here. Anyway, I'm getting a little bit off track, but what I wanted to say was I got states, yeah, like North Dakota, like there's only two left that I don't know if there are going to be updates. Ohio says coming soon, so that one is coming soon. New Jersey, I don't know if they're even doing updates. It might just be the same as last year. It probably is. So that means that pretty much everything needs a run through, but it's good. And so that means that yeah, I do think that there's a good chance that by like tomorrow, Tuesday, by tomorrow, meaning not Monday but Tuesday, I should be sending out a lot of these Excel versions to everybody who's used to getting this and who's already paid. And there's at least a dozen of you already that I know I've promised this to. So I will get all those done here early in the week, but we got to test it out. I mean, got to test it out. And I'm also doing enhancements. So this is the subject of my work, right? Okay. So payroll, done talking about payroll. Well, what else is going on? Well, there are wagers today, and I'm tracking one right now which is kind of fun because I made my favorite number a $94 wager. Mid game, middle of the day here. Just took a look at my phone. I was like, all right, well, let's do a middle of the day wager because the Rams were starting to crush the Broncos in like the first quarter. And I was like, whoa, I was like, this looks like a runaway game. I go, Russell Wilson is not having it. And it's kind of like, I saw this, I was like, I think the Rams are going to pummel them. So I was like, let me just I never do this, but like, I'll throw them minus 12.5 on there because they just look like they are just destroying at home a bad Broncos team with Russell Wilson clearly not playing like the Russell Wilson of old. So I put that on that one, right? So this already won. I took a same game parlay in an NBA game. Celtics and over 22.5. Why? Because the algorithm said that. So there have been some NBA scores, and I'm gonna look them up. I'm also watching the football game on my phone with Brady and Arizona going. It looks like Brady just threw a touchdown, I think. No, it's not a touchdown. Never mind. Something got called back. It's still 3-3 that football game, but let's talk about other scores here. I'm just gonna ask things here. Lakers versus Mavericks score. 115. The Lakers lost to one. That's right. They didn't cover. So they lost my bet there. Milwaukee versus Boston NBA. The Bucks lost 118-139. So Boston even way outscores it and crushes it. And then the Memphis Golden State game is going on right now. I believe it's just Memphis versus Golden State. It is 54-59 at half. So they're losing. Now, let's talk about what won and what was on my bet. So I took the Celtics in a same game parlay, and the projected total points in this game were set to be 230, and the over under on the bet was 222, sorry. So there was an 8-point, the projection said there'd be 8 more points than 222 in the game. So I combined the Celtics and the over at plus 135, and that won pretty easily. Next one, I took the over 138.5 in the Utah State versus Washington State game. Let's go over to college basketball really quickly because college basketball is usually awesome. Seattle already won. Let's ask Google some questions here. Iona versus Pepperdine. I know Pepperdine lost and did not.
The final score was 76-66 Iona.
Yep, Iona Pepperdine does not cover. That hurts me because I took Pepperdine to cover on my bet. DePaul versus Creighton. Creighton owned this game, right?
There's no phone number listed for Paul.
What the hell? DePaul versus Creighton.
DePaul lost 80-65 today against Creighton.
Wow. Algorithm. Algorithm's like, yeah, we'll just barely miss DePaul by 4 points. How's that, everybody? So if you bet a same game parlay here, I think you probably won too, because that's pretty darn close. Utah State game, I saw a projected score of 154 points, and the over-under was 138.5. So I bet the over. And what was the score? Utah State versus Washington State.
They lost 42-23 against Boise State.
No. Utah State college basketball score.
The final score was 82-73 Utah State.
Bam. I mean, they actually outscore it by a couple points. Crushed it. Absolutely crushes it. And Southern Methodist, SMU versus Hawaii college basketball score. It's going on right now.
They're tied with Hawaii.
Oh, it's 18-18
in the first half.
Yep. So they're duking it out. Now, what does that mean? Wait, Utah State's a loss? No, it ain't. Utah State won. Did I type that in wrong? Oh yeah. It was 82-73. What it was? Utah State college basketball score? What was it? Utah State college basketball score.
They won 82-73 today against Washington State.
Okay. See, whenever something is a loss on the algorithm, I'm like, what happened? No, there wasn't a loss. So here we are, 4-0 so far, trying to see if Southern Methodist with no home bump here By the way, this is right in home bump range. Like really, really Hawaii definitely can win this game sort of at home in Hawaii. So losing this game does not mean the algorithm is wrong, but winning this game is pretty incredible if it happens. So, I mean, right? Like the only thing you don't win is this crazy game where a team has to cover 15.5 and they end up winning by 15. Is that a joke? That does sound like a joke. That's why I don't take teams minus 15 points or 15.5 points, I should say. That's a killer hook. That sucks. Can you imagine betting Creighton minus 15.5 and losing? That's what I don't like losing this because I don't think you ever could have known that they're going to have to get that 16th point. Doesn't mean anything. But teams winning, they all are winning, and Southern Methodist is going to duke it out, right? So let's go back to my wager for a second. So I hit this, hit this, hit this. These are all 3 wins already. They already won. Now this stuff's going on. This is looking really bad. Tampa Bay versus Arizona situation is not looking like a lot of points. And I'm going to open that back up on the phone, watch a little bit of this game, but I overbet this. It's a bad call. I should have done something like, hold on, I'm going to sneeze, I think, in a second. Maybe not. Maybe. Coming. There it is. All right. So, no, this game is, gosh, that's 6-3. Yeah, they're just refusing to score points. Now, this is going to be a loss. This pick right here. It's going to be trouble. This is also going to have to be something interesting is going to have to happen for me to win that game. Grizzlies are going to have to come back and not score too many points. So this is also at big risk. SMU might win, right? Or Hawaii might win because they're at home. So a lot of this stuff is up in the air, and the Suns is also a big underdog. So what if we lose all of these games based on the $94 wager I made? We're still going to get back $16 and be down 83%. So that means that no matter what happens on this wager tonight, I'm at least getting $16.34 back. And what's interesting about seeing that $16.34 is that as I'm looking at my wager on the phone, right, because of the way things are going in certain games that are happening, all these 3 games are happening right now, there's such a massive fluctuation in payout based on wins, losses. For example, what if we actually win this Grizzlies and the under? All of a sudden now we're up money, right? What happens if SMU pulls it off and wins? And the algorithm goes 5-0 on its winner picks today, which would be the first perfect day of the season completely. I don't think we've had a perfect day at all yet this year. I know we might have had a day where we lost 1, but I don't think we've had a perfect day. Now you're starting to win some serious money. And what if the Suns pull off some craziness here? Now all of a sudden you're winning $1,800, even without hitting this over, which just seems like it's going to be really difficult to get a ton of points in this game, given that there are only 9 in the coming toward the end of the first half. That is big trouble. It can happen, but it's going to be probably. But if it does happen, yeah, it's like $7,000 because we've already won these 3. So it's a fun night regardless, because even if I lose all these and don't make money, it's still fun to watch these because any one of them starts to turn me into a winner for the night. All right. So that's how I do. That's what I would call a productive wager, where you start to hit your first few games and you can really enjoy it. I got some big lines. Oh yeah. And the cash out options that they're offering me now. Sorry, let me finish that thought. They're offering me so much more than $16. Oh my goodness. I mean, I was totaling up I was looking at it and I was totaling it up before. They're offering me like well over $100 right now. Like I could totally be a winner right now by cashing out. Let me total up what it's offering me. And let's take a look. Okay, it's offering me $20 plus 58 is $78 plus 59. Oh my goodness. So like 120-ish, 40-ish. It's about 139 plus 13, which is 152 plus 153 plus about 1. So it's offering me about $154 right now. and I only wagered 94. So technically I could call all these a potential loss and still make more than 50% profit, right? $154. I make 64% profit right now. Now that is a very intriguing option because I've seen this before where it's going to be paying me a lot more. Like if I start to show that, like SMU takes the lead, right? And starts to get up by like 6, 8, 10 points or something for some reason. Yeah, they'll start seeing this happening and seeing my potential payout going up. And they're like, they'll start offering me $300 or $400 for everything. What if they accidentally score some points in this football game? So this is a very fun way to do this on a relatively small wager, right? Now, that's this wager. Now let's talk about the original wager from the day, okay? The original wager from the day that I talked about is also potentially making money. It's not over, but it can make money. I actually wanted to see if it can make money if it loses another game, because it might. So, and also picks I talked about that were not good did not win. Because if you saw on the college basketball algorithm, we're 4-0 so far. So why am I not 4-0 on college basketball picks on this ticket? You will see. So let's talk about what is already won and what is lost. The Packers win. Let's take a look at the NFL algorithm for not NHL. Let's take a look at the NFL algorithm. How bad did the Broncos lose this game, by the way? Broncos score. They lost 14-50 freaking 1. Unbelievable. So let's go back. Let's talk about Sunday, Christmas Sunday here for NFL. We have these games and a game that is not over yet in Tampa Bay, Arizona. So this game is not over yet right here. But the other games are. Green Bay does win. We had them winning 27-25. They win 20. And by the way, Rodgers played, so I got to change that. It's Rodgers doesn't play. Everybody plays. Just refresh it. Don't do that. It's supposed to be 28-25. Ends up being 26-20. Got to bring the magnifier down just a little probably to get that closer, but it's not going to be perfect. 26-23, 26-20. That's what actually happens. That ain't bad. Now, Broncos game. What on earth? Like, they are just miserable. Had no chance. Rams blow up on them at home with some actual offense. Algorithm doesn't see that coming because why would it? I mean, there's no sign. But other than Denver just being really bad, it had to pick up on Denver apparently being really bad on the road. Denver puts up about as many points as you thought they would under a lower magnifier, but the Rams just blow it out of the water. Now, what is happening here in this game? There's no points here because Arizona's defense and JJ Watt are showing up. So my over bets are in big, big trouble. Let me go back to this is why betting over unders is bad. And you shouldn't be doing it a lot. Anyway, but enough whining. Let's talk about what won. Packers win. I could have had them to win on here at a better line. I didn't. But they win. Let's not complain. Utah State wins because it's college basketball. Seattle wins because it's college basketball. That's all that ever happens. Memphis is playing right now. So we've got winner, winner, winner to start off the day. We got loser in the Lakers. This is the picks I did by the end of the video this morning. We got a loser to start off the day with the Knicks, a team that was not that great on the NBA algorithm. They were all the way down. No, they were actually right here. No, they should have won, and they didn't. They started off strong, but they blew it. So, sucks. They blew it at noon. So, Knicks lose, Lakers lose. Not happened yet. This game blows it way over. I could have done an alternate over of anything, and it would have paid ridiculous. Had you done, this is a win here. Had it done something smarter, I mentioned it in the video, but I didn't actually do it. Is what if you're like alternate over of like 45.5 pays probably like 280 or something. right? Something like that. And you hit that, like it's so much better. And that's really what happened. I mean, that game, how many points did that game have? Game ends up with this Denver game ends up with 65 total points. I can't imagine what an over 59.5 was paying. Oh my gosh, right? It's crazy. Crazy. So anyway, something else could have been done there better than minus 110. If you're gonna bet an over under, go for the gusto is the way I put it. But maybe we can get over 40.5. That could happen, but man, we need to see some touchdowns somehow. I need to turn to pick sixes or something. Need some kicks returned for touchdowns. Need some weird stuff to happen in Arizona to get there. Now, Pepperdine. Pepperdine is a loser. They lose by like 9 or 10 or something. Now, problem is that is, I mean, they're here. Like it says Iona wins in the algorithm. Like, what am I doing? It says 10% margin. I just trusted them on the points, and Pepperdine didn't have it as much, and that's me betting against the algorithm and losing. So, I mean, should have just stayed away. I was coming up with extra picks. The one when I was talking about coming up with extra picks for the 12 picks, this was one of them. This was one of them. I think the Knicks and the Suns, right? And look, you got loser so far. And the overs, I said also. And we hit one of them, but we're going to have trouble hitting this one. So point is what has happened so far has some things active, but can still make money. But what happens if we lose, like they're having trouble scoring points here. What happens if we lose this? Now we're losing money. Not too much, but losing some. So we'll see if this can be profitable tonight. Other things I wanted to do in this video, because I said it's the Monday video. So I wanted to prepare and talk about tomorrow. Easiest thing to talk about is Monday night's football game. So that's already ready. It says the Colts barely beat the Chargers in a extra close one. So Colts plus 4.5 on the spread is what it's saying. And the over-under it's saying is under, but it's almost like a tie. This game's in Indianapolis. So it wants you to take Indianapolis plus 4.5. That's about it. So that's NFL. Enough of that. That's all my betting, because I'm not going to talk about betting for tomorrow. So if this thing takes forever to save, this is an enormous file. This thing will calculate up to 15 team combinations. It's so crazy. This thing is going. Oh yes, we're waiting for these scores to happen, and also I was thinking, what was going to prepare tomorrow? And the answer is no. I need to do payroll. I need to forget about this for tomorrow. I'll do this at some point tomorrow, but it may not be in the morning. I'm going to glance on my phone real fast. I want to know what time games start, because as long as there's nothing somehow in like there's no like basketball tournaments Monday morning, there probably are. No, there are no college basketball games on Monday. How about that? I get a break from college basketball completely. NBA does have a bunch of games tomorrow. And NHL, I think, is also off. So it's just the Monday Night Football game and NBA. Really? Is that all it is? Is that all it is? If that's all it is, if that's all it is, then we can do it right now, because that's all there is. So we can actually go over all the games tomorrow. I didn't realize that's all there was. Well, all right. So let's see what lines are available for tomorrow. NBA odds. NBA. See more. Don't care about that game tonight anymore. Care about tomorrow's games. Yeah, there's like 6 games there. So there's no NHL, so we don't have to worry at all about hockey tomorrow. could have skated on the little lakes here in Northern Virginia over the last few days. I was actually thinking about trying it, and then I thought better of it. But was thinking about trying to skate on the pond just for the heck of it. So we're gonna set up this thing for Monday's NBA games, which start right here with Brooklyn at Cleveland. People always ask, like, they get their cubes all screwed up when they're updating this themselves, and they can't get the home games to work right, and they can't get stuff. It is a little touchy. It is a little touchy. I'll say that, but you just got to understand what each column is doing and making sure that each column is being pulled down correctly is basically the short answer that you kind of need to know. 26 starts. Okay, so there's a few games still going on, and Memphis is down 66-74 in the third. So just want to look at today real quick. So Memphis is all the way up here. They're down. So something about maybe people played on Golden State. Yeah, we definitely need to do an injury report. As I said, the NBA injury report is super important. So we're going to update that. Notice I don't care about really doing the NFL injury report because I think it's fine for the Monday night game. And I don't want to adjust the history to reflect the players that got injured today and are not playing necessarily in the next game. I want to keep it where it was. This is the NBA injury report, which though is important if somebody, some injuries just happen because I want to know about them for tomorrow. So we're pasting that in here. And we're refreshing the injury pivot sheet to get it. You see a lot of stuff changed. Like a lot of these people actually went from game time decisions to out or played or didn't. Like a lot of stuff happened. And that's going to actually retroactively change these scores. They actually moved something around. As you can see, it moved the Sixers above the Knicks because everybody was at 100% and everybody played. Is that true? That's what it's saying. That is what it's saying. So bummer. Bummer. Although they did have a negative 1.9% margin. Had you looked before, you would have seen the raw margin without injuries was favoring Philly. I bet on the Knicks and lost. So it's kind of like I don't like to see this, but you see the Celtics still on here winning. You see Dallas higher up here and winning also. And I bet the Lakers plus the points. And it was way too close to call for that. Bad bet for sure. We'll see if Memphis can come back to at least win because I do have them to win on a ticket. Sixers win. The Suns have not played yet. All right. So there are games tomorrow, though. And I haven't done any of the other updating for NBA because I don't really care all that much. But I probably will do it at some point tomorrow, given that there's no other games going on and not much else to do. And I'll get NBA current again and really review it. Because if I'm going to be like betting same game NBA parlays simply because the lines are kind of good, then I got to try to get the point projections to do the best they can, right? You're going to be more successful with those wagers I'm doing if you do that. College basketball, we will root for Southern Methodist, but that is done. NHL is not happening tomorrow, so you get more of a break and we're done. And it's just NBA and NFL, which is said about the Colts. NFL seems like a game that you don't want to watch tomorrow. Colts and Chargers does not sound fun. So you've got NBA then. It's the only other thing going on. And there are 7 games. And as of tonight's injury report, we do not have a single underdog on here. Great. Clippers over the Pistons injured at only minus 198, huge margin. That's actually a very reasonable line. It's probably because they're away. It's the only reason that's a reasonable line of less than minus 200. And it probably gets worse after this video. Sorry, everybody. And look and see what those injuries are on the Pistons. So that probably goes on there. The Jazz are a little not as healthy as the Spurs, but the Spurs are bad. Yeah, the Spurs are bad. You can see there's 20. Spurs are really bad, is what the algorithm says. I'll take the Jazz, a team that we have won money on this year, to win over the Spurs, even slightly injured because the Spurs are just not good. Bulls and Rockets. Line all of a sudden gets real bad here at minus 330. And Houston's not very good. Bulls, this is a tough game to play. I got to skip over that. Portland and Charlotte. Portland slightly injured, but the margin's still really good. And they're still supposed to win by 7. Very similar situation with the Pelicans and the Pacers. Very similar games, very similar lines here. Notice these lines are better on the Clippers and the Jazz. Notice that. That's relevant. See how these two, the 2-team parlay are these two. Especially the Clippers with an injured Detroit. That has to be the pick of the day, NBA, even though it's not an even money line. So these two, but they're slightly injured. You can tell that one of these teams is not going to win based on what's going on here. The line's not great. They're both supposed to, actually, though. Those are big margins. Cleveland is the same really health as Brooklyn, and it's minus 125 at home. 9% margin, but this is a very tough game and is properly and adequately diagnosed by the lines makers, because this is exactly what you would think. This makes me want to take Brooklyn at their underdog line, which is going to show up down here. This line of +1, it's only 110. It's still not good. Now it's a very difficult game to play because it's 50-50. Now, what about Miami over injured Minnesota at home? The line's not good for all the way down here. The margin's actually negative for the Heat, but because Minnesota's injured, the Heat supposedly win. So this is also a really tough game. Very tough game. And the line's not good. And it's awful. It's awful. Wow. So I will say the whole board's not awful because these two picks are actually not at awful lines to win. So these two are definitely going on my round robin for tomorrow, given that there's nothing to play. There are no games. Becomes very difficult. All right, but that's good. It's a good day for payroll. Then it's a good day not to worry about sports because I am going to be all over Excel payroll nonstop. So that's the podcast. That's the NBA preview for Monday. Let's get a quick update on the scores of all the games before we go to see if we have a shot. Just looking on my phone. Memphis down by 5, 73-78. The football game is still 6-3, doing awful things for my over about approaching halftime. Will Arizona score before half to at least put this game over 10 points going into the second half? I don't know. How is the Southern Methodist basketball game going? The answer is Southern Methodist is up 31-22 at half. So that's setting up to be a fun watch down the stretch. And in the NBA, the other game is not even started yet, which is Phoenix. So, guys, that was a podcast. That was a lot of sports and a lot of payroll. And I'm going to get some rest tonight and finish up a lot of payroll work in the morning. But I did make a lot of progress today on some states all over the country. North Dakota. I mean, I reviewed a bunch of stuff. Anyway, all right. Good luck, everyone. I hope your picks won today, and I hope they continue to be winning. Merry Christmas.